자, 이게 나왔네. 베식스 전투 비행정. 이번에 칭6인가 중국에도 뭐 나왔잖아요. 자, 비행정이 공군이 주로 활약하던 경우 매우 드물었지만 다양한 국가에서 비행정을 제작 및 생산 기록이 있다. 또한 소련도 마찬가지로 그중 몇몇 비행 장비들은 소소한 성과도 거뒀다. 하지만 2차 세계대전이 펼쳐지고 각국은 조금 더 특별한 장비를 필요로 하게 됐고, 대표적인 예시로서 수송 임무는 물론 정찰 임무까지 수행할 수 있는 미국의 까탈리나와 같은 기체를 필요로 했다. 봅시다. 렛츠고. 자, 비행정.
Flying boats have never been a priority for air forces, but many nations still designed and produced aircraft capable of
일단
landing
비행정이
on
좋은
water.
점은
The
공항이
Soviet
필요 없는
Union was
거죠.
no
물에
exception.
착륙하면 되니까.
Its engineers had made a few successful models, including some that served with the Navy. However, the Second World War showed that the country needed something special. There was a need for an aircraft that could perform the roles of a transport,
수송,
a
폭격,
bomber, and a
순찰까지 다 할
patrol
수 있는 게
plane.
필요했다.
A need for a heavy flying boat like the American Catalina. A team of engineers at the Beriev Design Bureau decided to develop such a vehicle on its own initiative. And while the Catalina was the main inspiration behind the project, the Soviet
그렇지,
aircraft
날개 빼고
greatly
동체만
differed
보면
from
배
it.
같다, 그죠?
Starting with the very first prototypes, the plane featured a gull wing design. The bend near the hull allowed the engines to be placed higher above the water surface. The aircraft also received a twin rudder for improved handling. Despite the small size of the engineering team, the work was going at a steady pace, but the project had low priority and continued because the military didn't mind, not because it was actually needed. The first prototype was built in 1945,
45년에
soon
시작됐다.
followed by the first trials. In the late 1940s, the engineers enhanced the design by adding some elements to improve the plane's handling and reliability. Furthermore, it received new engines. The piston-powered ASH-73, like on the Tu-4 bomber. In 1949, the first pre-production variant made its maiden flight.
49년에
It featured five
천일비행이네요.
23mm cannons and a radar system,
그러니까 2차
as
대전
well
중에
as
사용되지
updated
않은
rudder
기체네.
fins and fuselage. After spending more than 5 years in development, the aircraft could boast major advantages. It was superior to the Catalina and other heavy flying boats in terms of controls,
일단 조종성이
sailing
더
performance,
카탈리나보다 위에
stability,
뛰어났다.
and many other qualities.
그 외의
The machine was
특성들도
designated BE-6 and reached production in 1952. The flying boat performed long-range patrol duties with the Soviet
야,
Naval Air Force for
52년에
almost 2
배치되어서
decades until the
70년까지
early
운영되었다.
1970s. It also served as a reconnaissance aircraft, a bomber, and a search and rescue plane. The BE-6 was among the last flying boats in the world to retire.
마지막으로
The
운영된
version that
마지막까지
served the
비행정
longest
중
was the
하나다.
one that was upgraded abroad. Back in the late 1950s, the USSR sent China a few
50년대
BE-6
말
planes
중국에게
along
해줬고
with their
그게
blueprints.
칭6이 됐지,
After
칭6.
decades of use, they became worn out. Thus, Chinese engineers decided to modernize these planes with new engines. The upgraded aircraft was called the Tsing-6. It kept the overall shape of the original model, but received new elements to keep up with the modern developments. The Chinese
좀
engineers
바뀌었나 본데?
equipped the plane with turboprop
엔진을
engines, similar to
터보프롭으로.
those found on the transport N-12. The Tsing-6 also received new avionics and an upgraded radar, while some of the planes had their defensive
레이더도
cannons
달았다고?
removed. There was even a plan to install landing
랜딩
gear,
기어도
which was the
만들려고
original
했었다.
intent of the Beriev Bureau, but only a handful of units received it. The
하지만
Tsing-6
실제
remained
적용되지
the main
않았다.
flying boat of the PLANF all the way until the 1990s, when it was finally replaced by newer aircraft. During its last years, the Tsing-6 was one of the last flying boats still in active service. The rest of the world has replaced them
가장
with
마지막까지
helicopters
운영된
and
비행정이다.
carrier-based aircraft.
전투 비행정 뭐 이런 말이겠죠.